Yeah.
Good evening and welcome to the Beach Haven Borough Council meeting. It is 6 p.m. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate and electronic notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the Beach Haven Municipal Building and on the Borough website, and mailing the same to the Beach Haven Times, the Asbury Park Press, and the Press of Atlantic City. Ms. Anderson?
Here.
Mrs. Ball Miller?
Here.
Mr. McCaffrey?
Here.
Ms. Snyder?
Here.
Mayor Lambert?
Here.
Cash receipts in the current fund account for the period of July 1st, 2025 through July 31st, 2025 were $779,112.15. Cash disbursements in the current fund account for the month of July totaled $1,682,739.33. Cash receipts in the water utility account for the period of July 1st to July 31st were $26,101.44. Cash disbursements in the water utility account for the month of July totaled $393,402.02. Cash receipts in the sewer utility account for the period of July 1 to July 31 were $17,712.96, while cash disbursements in the sewer utility account for the month of July totaled $237,672.83, submitted by our treasurer, Shari Bowler. Ordinance 225-15C, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 137, outdoor dining of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven to comport with PL 2024 C95, final reading.
Since it is the final reading, we'll open the floor to public comment. Anybody out there like to say anything about this? No? Anybody on Zoom?
No.
All right, seeing no hands. Oh, excuse me. First, council, anybody have anything to say about this? No, we think this one, I think pretty well to death, right? Okay. Is there a motion to approve 2025-15C?
I'll make the motion.
Second. Sorry.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller?
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey?
Yes.
Ms. Snyder?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-18C, an ordinance amending Chapter 199, Vehicles and Traffic in the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to designate a portion of 8th Street one-way, final reading.
Again, final reading, so it's open for discussion. Anybody care to? No? Zoom?
No one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please come up. Identify yourself and hold it to 3 minutes, please.
Sorry.
Identify yourself, name and address, and then just what I
Oh,
ask
okay,
you, hold it to 3 minutes.
John Dorian, 324 6th Street. Just a question about the direction of the traffic, and were there any considerations about how the flow of other traffic was going to go around? Like, I'm at the corner of 6th Street, right? So we already get a lot of cars going up there. So with the changes there, was there any like studies on terms of what potential impact of traffic was going to be with this making of it one way? I guess I had just seen the thing announced in the paper, a few weeks ago or something like that. So I guess I was just wondering about what was done to look at this. And
What they're doing is, because cars are coming out onto Bay Avenue from 8th Street, from Bay Avenue to Delaware Avenue, it's going to be going west. So you'll have parking on both sides. At the end of there'll be 2 lanes, one will go south on Delaware, the other one will go north, and they can catch the lights at Taylor, and they go down and catch the lights at 6, because they were having a lot of problems with people looking north and taking off this way, and there were people walking across the street. So it was getting
pulling
a
out
little,
to Bay Avenue.
yeah, it was getting a little dangerous there. And now that Delaware Avenue is a little wider, you can get those cars down there, and they could go down and go either way and get to a light to get across.
Okay, I wasn't sure if there was any consideration of how it was gonna impact, because I see traffic on Taylor backs up pretty far too, with everything, so I didn't know if there was a consideration of
Yeah, it should,
how
should
that
alleviate a lot of problems in that area.
Especially the boulevard, I think was the biggest
Yeah.
concern.
No, I understand not wanting people making that left, but I just was wondering if there was any other studies on it as opposed to just, we thought this was gonna help or something, so, all right, thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? No? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion to approve 2025-18C?
I make a motion to approve 2025-18C.
I'll second.
Who was that?
Me.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey,
Yes,
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-19C, an ordinance amending chapter 199 vehicles and traffic in the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to add a stop sign at 9th and Delaware Avenue. First reading.
Okay, since this is the first reading, it's not open to the public. Council, would you like to discuss this? I mean, the chief gave a pretty good explanation, and we had members of the business community up there say that they backed it up also. And so I was fine with it.
Yeah, the chief really supported it. You know, it's always, change is always hard, but in the best interest of safety and resident requests, so I think I'm fine with it.
I think what they're doing there is just trying to make some regiment of the traffic that's down there. Just
Well,
so,
I went down there and I sat there for a while, and people are stopping there anyway, because they have no idea what to do.
Yeah,
So you might as well just put a stop sign there and alleviate.
yeah. And yeah, as I said last meeting, our biggest problem is people not stopping. I mean, they're just running them, they're just, so,
Yeah, my biggest.
stop
concern
sign or no.
was- My
just-
biggest concern was the backup on the boulevard from the light, but like I said, I sat there,
Yeah.
I made some observations, and it's not going to, I don't. So if it does, then we'll look at it again.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, that's right. There is no final comment on that. All right, is there a motion to approve 2025-19C?
So
I make a
moved.
motion to approve 2025-19C.
Was that Katie too?
Mhm.
Was that you too?
Does- I don't
Okay. Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller.
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey,
yes,
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
All matters listed under item consent agenda are considered to be routine by the municipal council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any items requiring expenditure supported by a certification of availability of funds and any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. Resolution 196, returning piling bonds. Resolution 201, awarding a contract to Code 96 Spartech for managed care IT services. 202, approving change order 2, final, dated July 8th, 2025, for the 2023 road improvement project, 5th Street from Bay Avenue to the oceanfront and Borough Utility Replacement Project. 204, setting compensation for Adam Ellender as Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator. 205, authorizing a refund of a tax overpayment. 206, adopting an administrative services agreement with Empower Retirement LLC. 207, authorizing the execution of a cooperation agreement with Velco Investments LLC. And 208, 2025, adjusting the salaries for employees number Pavia 005 and Sensi 005.
Okay, would anybody like to discuss? I know there has been concern, and I think we should address that 204, the compensation for Adam Ellender. And there was concern, but I think when we find out there's actually a savings to the borough. Sherry, would you like to share those figures? Should also note that we did get a letter from our emergency management coordinator praising the work that Adam has done and all the work he will be saddled with as part of the new codes and everything that are coming down. And he recommended also that this take place.
Is it really appropriate to talk about our personal,
Just about the savings that we're going to make.
right, but to name someone by name?
Hmm.
I didn't
Well, the
think that-
resolution is by
Yeah.
name. So we will save about 32,000, 33,000. Let me see. So it's more like 25,000 after you consider this increase from 3 to 10.
Right. Okay.
So 25,000.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody have anything to say?
No, I mean, also, I agree, Colin, we've had a couple of inquiries about this and I, I looked into it myself as we always do.
I can't
and,
really hear you, Kitty.
Sorry, I have something like frog in my throat. I looked into it, of course, spoke to Sherry and the explanation, and just on the salary. So I'm fine with that. I think it makes sense. As far as, since Adam is named, I mean, I fully support fully support him for this job, and the justification for the salary adjustment is
Yeah, I mean, just.
very clear and it makes perfect sense. And he has a lot of responsibilities. And I know we've been accused of having a lack of transparency, but I'm confident that the reasons for this, for the salary increase, are valid and necessary. And I also think that Adam will do a great job.
Thank you. Anybody else?
No, we received, a letter from Bill Trom, who is our emergency management coordinator. And he is without a doubt justified for this salary adjustment. And some of the core responsibilities of a deputy coordinator include attending 8 to 10 regional, county, or state level emergency management meetings, mandatory quarterly training, emergency operations plan maintenance, community rating system compliance, and that's really important for flood insurance. If we don't keep our community rating system compliance at a high level, our flood insurance rates will skyrocket. So it's really important that we have the right person that knows what they're doing for this. Public notification via Nixle, sodium media coordination, disaster damage assessment and reporting, and 24/7, 365 days availability. So for $10,000, which is pretty much the same stipend that a football coach gets, I definitely want the right person in charge of that, and I feel that we have the right person. So
And
It's
all the discussions we've had with the best and everything else, I mean, Adam has been to so many special meetings
Exactly.
that nobody else has ever been required to go to. And he is always there and he's been very helpful. So I think it's well deserved. I don't have a problem with it at all.
I think the borough is very lucky to have him.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve the resolutions within the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
I will second it.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller.
yes,
Mr. McCaffrey,
Yes,
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
We have a bill list tonight in the amount of $1,210,931.46.
Everybody have a chance to review the bills?
Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the bill list.
I'll second.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
yes,
Mr. McCaffrey,
Yes,
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
For general discussion tonight, we have the EOC renovations and the receipt of bids. Can you unmute Frank Little for me?
Hi, Frank. Thanks for joining us tonight. How do we want to kick this off? Do we want Frank or
I think he's still.
Mr. Malley, or how do we want to play first?
I think we should start with Frank to go over the bid results and that
Okay.
type of thing. Frank, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay,
A little bit more.
where would you like to start? We took the bids. The low bidder was, I believe, $6,086,000 in that range. The second bidder, I believe, was above 6 million too. which was Santorini Construction, I believe, that actually built the Borough Hall. I talked with our architect and our structural engineer, and they have worked with the low bidder before. And, you know, he's a major contractor that can definitely handle the project. So the issue at this point is money. We don't have enough to award it. If we do award it, we would have to amend the budget to add funds to it and request an extension from the contractor to extend the time we're allotted to award the contract. Typically, 60 days from the date of the bid would be the timeline to award. Obviously, we would need a first and second reading on an ordinance to increase the funding. And, you know, and that would more than likely put you into a award date of your meeting in October, if you're able to do a first reading toward the end of this month. So that's kind of where we are. There was discussion about what would happen if we demoed the building, but I know Mr. Malley was working on this, but my understanding was with the agreement you had, if you demo the building, you have to buy the property at fair market value, which could be to the tune of 5 million. And then you could be looking at, by the time you went out to bid again for brand new construction, you're going to be a year or more down the road. Costs are going to go up. So you're probably looking at more like 8 million for something new that be fortified enough to withstand the storms that this building previously was exposed to. We did talk to our structural engineer, and I sent an email to Sherry earlier with his comment, but you know, he felt that the building, after his review of it, is going to meet the code requirements and everything as far as structural stability, and would not be an issue as far as, you know, the current structure. So the addition, we would be putting the addition on with piling and, you know, continuing the construction in accordance with what the codes were and what the original building was constructed to. So I have that much for you right now, unless you have specific questions.
Anything for Frank?
I don't think at this point.
Jim, do you want to join us on this one?
Good evening. Just for the record, Jim Maley, Redevelopment Council for the Borough. Just to update and tag on to what Frank had to say. Our work on this building began actually a few years ago and really was triggered at the time that we got involved. The borough was considering purchasing the building, just an outright purchase of the building. There were appraisals that were getting underway because the federal government's position was that if there was any portion of the building that was not being used for public safety, then it would revert back to the federal government and the borough would have the option to purchase the property at fair market value. We got involved in a lot of back and forth and a lot of arguing with the federal government to demonstrate that indeed the building had been being used 100%, not necessarily every day, but part of the public safety in this neck of the woods is being prepared when bad things happen to have places to relocate people to and to help get them off island. So we had to go through a process on that. None of the documentation, the deed is the major document that contains the restriction for use of this property. The property is the building and the land. It's not just the building. It's not just the land. It is the building and the land. It's not contemplated at all raising it and taking it down. Since this inquiry, some members of the public had raised this, we've reached out. GSA, well, the one fellow we dealt with has retired, or at least he's not in his job anymore. I'm not sure how or why, but the other fellow that's there has passed it on to the Coast Guard for them to evaluate it. Our experience in all of this process is the federal government has taken a very hard line on it in terms of use of that building. And if you're not using that building, they, a few years ago, took the position, it reverts back to the feds. And if you want it, you can purchase it. So we don't expect that answer to be any different. And that's the legal side of this about the use and the restrictions that are in place there. Getting where we are right now has taken a lot of doing, that the use that's proposed is okay with GSA. They're not invoking the transfer provisions. So we're in a position where you're in shape to move forward with this property without having had to pay for it. Okay?
Thank you. Cost wise, we had a couple things, but basically to knock the building down and rebuild would be considerably more than what we're looking at because we're not purchasing the property per se. We're getting deeded. So it would be a big savings to renovate what we have. And the structural engineers, everybody came through with the statement that it is a fit building. I mean, it's not like your usual 60-year-old structure. I mean, this thing was built to a Cat 5 standard. And from what they found out, it is still in very good shape in that regard. Needs a lot of cosmetic and interior work. And unfortunately, when I first ran for office 5 years ago, we were kicking this football around. And the price then was 2.5, almost 3 million. Now we're double that. So personally, I really want to get moving on this project. And thank you for your input, Frank. Thank you for yours. I mean, it seems to me that at this point in time, our best option is to go out to bid to rehab the building.
Comments?
Yeah, I mean, again, this football's been kicked around a long time and it's a lot of money. I mean, it's a lot of money. But everyone is on board to renovate it for the purpose of emergency management, which is important to the town, and our professionals and the legal language seems clear. And so I think as much as I would love to own it and be able to do anything I want with it, I don't see how then we're looking at $10 million more or less. We don't even know what fair market value is. It could be 10 million at this point, who knows? So I just think I think this is the right choice, the right decision.
I think that we've kicked it around long enough and it just keeps getting more and more expensive. So I would say go with it now before it costs us 10 or 12 million.
Yeah, I agree with everyone. But which bid, Frank, are you leaning towards?
Well, you have to go with the low bidder. The low bidder.
have to?
6,086,000 and they posted bonds. So unless they turned around and said, wouldn't grant you the extension, then you would ask the second bidder, but then you're adding another 200 grand. So
Okay.
technically, Mr. Malley will tell you, when you take a public bid, you're stuck with a low bidder because they posted bonds and met all the requirements of the bid. So from what I can tell from the bid, it's, it fully complies with what the bidding requirements are, and you'd have to offer the award to the low bidder.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you got someone has confidence in them, so hopefully they're right.
Marie?
Well, when we need that building, we're really gonna need it, so we gotta move forward.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jim. Thank you,
Thank you,
Frank.
Jim. Frank,
All right.
thank you very
Have a
much.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you too.
Then I will work with Sherry Bowler to get an ordinance to appropriate some additional funds. We'll get that moving as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
A lot of
That's all I have.
Okay, it is now to public comment. So if you'd like to come up, please raise your hand. Don't forget to ID yourself and please hold it to 3 minutes. In the audience, we'll start the first.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Ann Flynn. I live on 1610 South Bay Avenue, Beach Haven. It is my legal residence. I've lived in Beach Haven for 6 years. I've been on the island since 1983. And I am just a little bit upset and disturbed about the change of the emergency management policy. I feel that we as condominium owners, we have a 6-unit townhouse condominium, 2 of which units are lived in full-time all year. The other 4 units do not rent. It is not a rental property. Everyone lives in that apartment, those places, not for the full year, but through the summer. in the past. We have always gotten a pass. I was the fourth car on the island after Sandy. I was able to tear up my carpeting, remove all of the wet furniture to mitigate damage that would have occurred further if I wasn't able to get there. When the National Guard said it was time to leave, I left and followed the rules as it was stated. I feel very, very imposed upon that my rights as a taxpayer and a property owner are being subverted by the new policy. I understand that there is a concern about the number of people coming on the island and so forth. But also what gets me is that leases, someone who can show a lease for a year can get a pass or a placard. But someone who's lived here, who's a resident, cannot get a placard to come onto the island. I find the policy a little bit discriminatory. We feel like second-class citizens, and I'm speaking for my unit, my complex, and I'm also speaking for units in Shelter Harbor and other ones in the area. People are very upset about this. And we just feel slighted. We feel like people with the mega million houses get to come. They have no regard for the island. They don't care what happens here. We care. We do everything we're supposed to do. We recycle, we clean the sewers, we do whatever it is necessary because we're residents, because we love the town and we love the island. And, you know, people come here, they get $55,000 a week in rent or $35,000. They have no allegiance to where we are, but we do. And I think that there is a situation where one size does not fit all. And I think maybe there should be some kind of board that looks at the different people and say, we don't have 40 units, we don't have a manager, we don't even have basically a HOA association. We say we need this done, we get together, we pay for it, and it's done. So I think I just would like for you to reevaluate, to understand a little bit about how we feel. And there are people that are very angry that want to take it to litigation because it is a discriminatory policy. Long Beach Township does not have this policy. So the ironic thing is that they will be able to drive through Beach Haven to get to the condominiums in Holgate, but we can't come to our own homes. Everything we own is in that home. It's our home. And I really would love for you to reconsider or to at least take a person-to-person basis to see if, you know, maybe somebody is legitimate in asking to come into to the island, as in the past.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I know it's not a back and forth, but I hope you don't mind. I'm going to ask a question. So you said you don't have an HOA? You don't have,
We do have an HOA on paper.
is it
But
someone that
basically,
lives
I'm
in
the
your-
president of the association and we have a treasurer. And then whatever we do, we say, hey, guys, we need this, we need that. I mean, we're owners. We're not renters. We're not people trying to make a profit. We all love where we live. 20 years, been there. I've been there since 84, but others have been there since, 20 years, another 15 years, another, it's a stationary, it's not a for sale or a transient kind of place. And I know that you would have concern if it were you. How would you feel if you were singled out because you own a condominium and not be able to see your property? I think it is really unfair. And I'm staying calm because I think that they're reasonable people who can actually look at this and say, look, I understand. It's not an easy choice. Sandy was a disaster. It's a disaster on the island, but I, as a taxpayer, came here, did what I was supposed to do. I didn't go down to Holgate to go see what it looked like. I didn't, I did exactly what was asked of me. And if others are not doing it, then they're the ones who should be penalized, not the people who follow the law and follow the rules.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I
Thank
really
you very
appreciate you
much.
listening. Thank you.
We have, excuse me, we have gotten quite a few comments about this. So I was not aware of the policy, to be very honest, and I reached out. And our emergency management coordinator, Bill Trom, is online, and he wrote another statement. I think he did send it out to a lot of the condo owners. There are valid reasons, and I know that there's a lot of disagreement about what constitutes that. But Bill is online. Would he like to comment on this?
Hi, Bill Trom, Emergency Management Coordinator. How are you guys tonight?
Fine, Bill.
I think all the municipalities that use the placard system do have different policies on who they let in. I also know, reverting back to Sandy, that if you showed, when you got to the bridge, to the checkpoint, if you show that it was your permanent residence, that they would allow you access, they allowed access back onto the island. As far as the way we wrote the policy is, we just want to be fair and get things cleaned up so we can get everybody back on the island as quickly as possible. I mean, we have to deal with, the utility companies, Public Works, trying to get streets clear, debris off the streets, and start getting cars with flat tires and things, then it just ties things up more. And also, we can re-examine this at our November meeting, our November planning LEPC meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
And the current placards for those who haven't, because it was my understanding that some people were mistakenly given placards last time around. And that's part of the situation. They're like, hey, I already have one. Now you're saying I don't get one. Well, apparently you weren't supposed to get one. So those placards are still good through the end of the year, correct?
yes,
So then if you met in November and there was a discussion, then that would cover next year.
correct.
Okay.
I hear what you're saying, and I've heard from quite a few residents as well, and I would not want to be told that I couldn't have a placard. I wouldn't, and I've really struggled with this because thank you for speaking, Bill, and of course I respect your opinion and Chief's opinion. We've all talked about it, and it's a tough decision. We have close to 700 or more condos in Beach Haven. Yours is unusual and different. I'd like to see, permanent residents able to get a placard. I really would. I don't think it's fair not to give them a placard. I've gone back and forth with this, and even earlier today, I was thinking we would just follow emergency management's advice and the chiefs, but I really thought long and hard about it, and I'd like to, again, you have your placard until the end of the year, and when you meet again, Bill, I'd like you to give special consideration to, if it were you, and it worked out after Sandy, and, we didn't let people back on until we had to, and then they got in and out, and I think people were respectful. Some people did get flat tires, and some people didn't, did go to Holgate and look at the damage, but not that many. I think everyone really banded together, and it was, I was here, I hadn't left, and I just think it's a tough situation, but I really think as a human and a councilwoman and a longtime resident, I would want to have a placard. So I think just this meeting, I've changed my mind, and I'd like to see them get placards.
Also, what other thing, I just want to say, my husband's about 5. He's counting countless hours.
Well, then he will get one anyway.
He would get one.
He'll get one anyway.
Yes.
Usually, he's not technically.
Right, but his
allowed-
status would,
Here to
yeah.
assist.
Mhm.
And, I just, I think when you do service to a community, and when you're a resident of the community, unlike these people who have these houses and never show up.
Well, I like to speak to that too. I think you're on a slippery slope there, and I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with what you said about people with $1 million homes. But we hear that a lot, like you're not a voter, you're not, residents and homeowners and taxpayers all are equal, of equal standards. And so I respect you as a taxpayer, and I respect, the $5 million oceanfront as well. So, or the house across from me that's, $5 million. So anyway, I have respect for all of you, and no one has resentment or, so I totally disagree with you there, but I understand where you're coming from. Thank you.
Anybody on council want to jump in here? I think Bill stated it very well, that for now, we're at status quo, and we will re-examine it in November. Hopefully hurricane season, which is upon us right now, is going to be kind to us, and it won't even be an issue, but we can never take that for granted. Is there anybody on Zoom that wanted to speak to this?
I don't see anyone.
No? And anybody else in the room, I should ask? No. Okay. Anything else for public comment? Yes, sir.
Once again, John Dorian, 324 6th Street. Question about, and I looked in the meeting minutes from last month, so this is a little bit of an older issue, but that the severe flooding that occurred in early July when we had the downpour, around 5-6 inches of rain, whatever it was. And I live at the corner of Delaware and 6th. And, so as we know, there was a project put in to try to help some of the flooding there and everything. And actually, this was probably one of the first time we had flooding since all the work was done there and everything. However, one of the things I was wondering is if there was consideration for kind of directing the traffic flow, especially as it pertains to Delaware Avenue from, like I said, I'm on 6th, from like 5th Street to up towards like Bay Village and everything. That whole stretch gets really flooded out and everything. And we saw cars, I saw probably 4 or 5 cars towed just from that area, right?
Yeah.
Between, Delaware on 6th Street and everything else. And you can see people are trying to get around traffic and everything. So in terms of this kind of emergency, management type of thing, is there any consideration of, putting in temporary closure signs like they do on Long Beach Township, on Bay Avenue? They direct people to Beach Avenue. On Delaware, they should be keeping people from, we see people coming up Delaware, going towards Bay Village in the middle of a flood. I don't know why, but they're going that way. But closing really Delaware Avenue from like 5th all the way up to Bay Village when there's severe flooding like that, putting up signs or whatever it is, because we saw, number one, a lot of cars doing that. Number two, a lot of cars going through there and they're flying through, right? And they're creating wakes, right?
Yeah.
So, kind of no wake zone type of thing. And my neighbor's car was parked in all that brand new parking that they put in there with the curbing and everything else that they put in there. And I said, when they put that in there, I go, when there's flooding, there's all these cars are going to be in that little zone there. And that's where all the water collects. And sure enough, my neighbor's car, because of all the wakes and everything else, the water seeped in and ruined their electric seat. And she had to move, she was moving her car, and all of a sudden the seat just kind of pulled up like mechanically and almost squeezed her into the thing. She couldn't stop it, right? So type of thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, but that was all caused because I was watching it. I was literally out there like yelling at people, to slow down. And people are like flipping you the bird and, all this kind of stuff. And I saw people doing that on Bay Avenue as well. And I know I've heard merchants on Bay Avenue complain about it because people are flying down Bay Avenue when they're creating water that's like going literally in their storefronts. So I guess, when those things happen, is there consideration to try to, adjust the traffic flow, at least temporarily, like they do in Long Beach Township?
When you're doing Long Beach Township, most of their flooding that they do that for is tidal flooding. What you're talking about where we had here was rain, 6 inches of rain in 2 hours. So what happened was you have 6 inches of rain on Bay Avenue. You have 6 inches of rain on Beach Avenue, and you have 6 inches of rain on Atlantic Avenue, and it all drains down to Bay Avenue. So it takes time for the pumps to get all that pumped out of there.
No, I understand that, but but it happens enough here that if there was a plan put in place, so like, oh gee, we have flooding. But I saw the Beach Haven police Humvee driving around trying to help people or assessing whatever it was. So obviously, if you're getting the Humvees out, the police know that there's a situation for flooding. So even just putting up temporary signs at 5th Street and towards just keeping people from going down to and then you talked about 8th Street being going one way. Well, now if people go on 8th Street, they're going to be going onto Delaware Avenue. And now they're going to be right into the middle of the flood zone and everything. So people are directing themselves, and they should be directed up to Beach Avenue because there's no flooding on Beach Avenue.
We go back and forth with the chief every time that it floods, and the flooding has significantly decreased since we have the pumps. However, with 4, 5, 6 inches of rain within an hour time, no pump system is going to work.
Yeah, no, I understand.
The problem that we have here in Beach Haven is that it's more congested than Township. Township, has 2 cops in those 2 locations to close the road. We would have to have a officer at every single street because people are going up and down every single street. So we're in such a smaller vicinity that we don't have the manpower to block every single street. And we're not chasing people through the salt water because we're not going to ruin our $70,000 vehicles. So I wish that we did have some type of, better answer. I seek it out all the time because I also live on 6th Street and I see the wakes. And I know a lot of the business owners that are constantly calling me and complaining about it as well. And there's just I haven't thought of an answer yet. We can close the boulevard, but we don't have enough manpower to stop everyone at every single street. I'd like to put a big buoy in the middle of the boulevard and, no wake zone, but we haven't thought of something that we can put into place successfully yet, but every year we're trying to come up with a plan, but we do
I know.
not have
And
enough.
I would consider,
yeah, we
even
all
for,
agree
even
with
for
you.
just
We-
Delaware,
we-
because I
we
watch it
agree
on
with you.
Delaware. and
We don't,
everybody-
we
everybody
don't have
comes-
enough officers at that
Right.
time to bring, we would have to bring in every single officer for overtime to block every single road. So
We still wouldn't have enough.
Well,
we still wouldn't have enough.
and I'm not even saying, I understand the manpower issue, but even if you just, say at Fifth Street and up by Taylor Avenue or wherever it is, say road flooded or something like that. So people, because I don't think people realize, right? They come out, they see the roads flooded and they
They
say,
kn-
gee, I'm gonna go down this way and everything.
I
but-
think
mean,
they know.
Year rounders all know, immediate, that was just a crazy storm and that was unusual for us.
There's always
by
one.
all standards.
But
There's
once you're on the
always
west side of the boulevard,
Yeah.
you're stuck anyhow, because
And
you
people that
can't
don't know, they
cross
don't, so
and
stupid and they drive
so, right.
Find a high point, put your car on it and wait for the water. to-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that just-
Otherwise.
And
you're gonna
wherever my
destroy the
driveway
car.
is, I'm fine. I usually, don't have any issues, but I'm just saying, there should be at least some, because just to say, well, we can't do anything about it. Well, I was talking to my neighbors and they're like, between Fifth and Bay Village, just keep the cars from flowing because people are coming up and down and they don't realize it, right? So even if you just put signs there, just say road flooded and maybe they'll turn around or head up to Bay
We
Avenue
wouldn't
and
even
try to
have
cross. Bay
personnel to
Avenue.
do that.
Well, I mean, the whole road floods. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
All the way
flooding.
down, yeah,
It's flooding from
Yeah.
Taylor all the way to in front of this building.
yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
floods from Murphy's to
So,
Taylor.
Anyway, that was,
Yeah.
one of the thoughts I had was.
It is very frustrating. I had countless calls. Are those pumps working? The pumps were certainly working. And if you live there, you can probably see if the red light is flashing. It means they're working, but they're not able
Yeah,
to.
like I said, 2 years or however long it's been, this is the first one and I realized it was
Yeah.
an abnormal storm, but
And we've had a
Yeah.
couple.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
but that was really the first one
Yeah.
that happened, so that's good, but.
yeah, but they do get overwhelmed and the flooding comes up quickly. I think the statistic is the boulevard is 1 inch, the grades are 1 inch above median high tide. It does not take much, that living here.
Mhm.
And when you get that kind of rainfall on top of it, we just came out with the last meeting. We came in at quarter of,
We all had to take our
quarter
shoes off
seven,
and roll our
and there was 6 inches of rain out here in less
We're
than an
used to
hour. It's just,
And-
it's a crazy situation. It's part of our, unfortunately, island life.
And just a question, is there a regulation about like people shouldn't, couldn't be
The no
flying
wake
through the
zone?
water,
No.
type of thing? 'Cause,
Yes.
I mean, I was watching people on Bay Avenue and they're like
Yeah.
flying down
Yeah,
there,
it's so frustrating.
and people are like thinking, oh, that's a
Yeah.
great thing.
The problem is catching,
Yeah, we all know.
because now you're gonna have to run your car faster through the
Yeah.
water
Yeah.
and destroy your car to catch them.
And everyone knows, you wait till they go, then you wait till, we all know, but then it's just.
Well, we've got the Humvees, so they can catch them, so.
Well,
all
we
right,
forget
thank
it's
you.
salt water too, so.
Thank you for your comment and.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And we
Deputize
feel
your
your
street
your
captain.
frustration, yeah. Okay, anybody else in the audience? No? Anybody else on Zoom?
Deb Whitcraft.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. I know you said 3 minutes, but we seem to keep going over 3 minutes, so I'll try to stay within 3 minutes. The questions that I and others have raised about the
Just
emergency,
state your name and address first for the record.
Deb Whitcraft, 528 Dock Road, Beach Haven. But
Okay.
the question that I and others have raised with regard to emergency management positions isn't about the individual's qualifications. It's about the fact that an individual's stipend has more than tripled when others in the same exact position in larger municipalities, such as Long Beach Township, are paid between $3,000 and $3,500 for that position. So one just has to wonder, with other people in the same position as that individual who is now getting a $10,000 stipend on top of his regular salary, what about other individuals such as our chief of police, who is also a deputy emergency management coordinator, who is receiving $3,000? Will he be jumped to $10,000 on his salary? That was one question. I'm trying to stay within the 3 minutes, which I know is not necessarily held. But the other issue I wanted to bring up is the GSA. Mr. Malley and others have said that the GSA will not allow us to demolish the building and build a new emergency operations center. Well, there's no opinion from the GSA on this. I've asked Sherry to contact them and get a written statement from them, because I have two different legal opinions that reflect their belief that as long as the property in total is operated as an emergency operations center, there is nothing in the deed that I signed 20 years ago that prevents that portion of the building that you're seeking to renovate. There's nothing in the deed that says that it cannot be replaced with another building operating as an emergency operations center. So, Mr. Malley and others who are talking about the necessity for us to purchase the property if we were to demolish and build a new EOC is absolutely unfounded. Nowhere does that agreement that I signed 20 years ago state that. Two different legal opinions that I have shared with Sherry reflects my belief that we can, in fact, demolish and rebuild an EOC for less money than what we're proposing to do in building a new facility and keeping that ugly East End building that serves no purpose whatsoever. So I would just like to ask that before anything else go on with the EOC, I would like to ask Sherry once again to get in contact with the GSA and ask them if we are permitted to demolish a portion of the existing building to build a new EOC to take its place. I've asked this before and it has not been done. Thank you. I hope I stayed within my 3 minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Malley?
Sure. So I addressed this earlier, said that we had made contact with the GSA. One of the two individuals we had worked with is no longer there. They would not give an opinion on it and we're reaching out to the Coast Guard. When and if we get a response on that, I have no clue. I have given our opinion based on the work for the last several years on this, dealing with the GSA. Their position on this has been 100% of the existing building needs to be used for public safety, that if any of it is not, then that triggers the clause where it's transferred back immediately to the federal government, and we had to purchase it. When we first got involved in this several years ago, the borough was at a position where they had been told that they had to purchase the building if they intended to make any further use, like they were at the time. So I've seen the emails where two different lawyers agreed with you, Ms. Woodcraft, that it didn't say in it that you can't tear it down. That's correct. It doesn't say that in it. It also doesn't say in it that you can tear it down and make whatever use you want of it. And the interpretation that the feds have taken through our years of working on this have been very strict, very hard, not allowing anything but 100% use of that building for public safety. That's what supports our opinion, having worked on it, that we don't expect that they're going to say, yes, it's okay, tear it down. And if they were to consider it, will be years, because there's no timeline. They're not worried about any timeline. To get here, it has taken us years to get this approved. So that's what I would say. Thanks.
Thank you.
John Halpern.
John Halpern, 319 Fairview Avenue, Beach Haven, New Jersey. Getting back to what Ms. Whitcraft said about the resolution 204, I really don't have an issue with the qualifications of the deputy. I really don't have an issue with Sherry's representation that there's going to be over $30,000 in cost savings. My only issue is, if we have a resolution, and resolutions are supposed to be either regular, routine, or mundane in nature. If we have a resolution that's going to change our finances or demonstrate savings, or we have to demonstrate some sort of cost benefit for the position, that sort of resolution should be transparent, in the sense that allowing the public to comment before council would approve it. That's my only point there. My second comment relates to ACE and the battery energy storage facility. I sent an email to council based on information I received from Bob Jacobson regarding a company called Biocar, who really has a lot of experience in extinguishing lithium ion type fires and explosions. And I'm just wondering, and Bob made a good point, if that sort of thing does happen, what kind of exposure and risk does the borough undertake due to insurance, and whether or not we are exposed at all from insurance and liability perspective if an explosion did occur? Thank you.
Thank you. We have discussed that, and our attorney, who is helping us. Sal, are you available right now?
Yes, I'm available. Sorry, just
Can you answer? I mean, we've talked about the insurance, and basically we haven't gotten an answer from ACE is the answer to that question, but you just want to kind of let people know where we are?
yeah, no problem, Mayor. So as the council is aware and the mayor's aware, when the borough was first, when this really was brought to the borough's attention after the approvals were granted by the land use board, the borough's been working diligently to get a grasp of what this best station is, how it affects its residents, and to that end, they've engaged an independent consultant to perform a risk assessment. We're awaiting the results of that so we can really understand how this facility might, I guess, the pitfalls and the dangers associated with it. As to the insurance question and whether the borough is covered, this is a private facility. The borough does not own it. They do not own the land. They don't own the facility. So ultimately, if there's a issue with the facility, if there's some sort of catastrophic event over there that causes damage, that's going to fall on the owners of the facility to provide recourse, that be it through insurance, through ultimate, if borough property is damaged, if private property is damaged, you're going to go towards this Atlantic City Electric's insurance and or Atlantic City Electric generally. Now, I think there's a question as to whether or not the borough would be liable for something like this. They would not be liable for something if something were to occur there. They don't run the facility. They don't manage the facility. They do not, they don't oversee it. These are things that are done private. It's all done through Atlantic City Electric. So ultimately, the onus is on them to run a proper facility. With that being said, the borough obviously is concerned, and that's why the borough is taking every step it possibly can, including multiple letters, community outreach, site visits, everything they can to get as much information from Atlantic City Electric to the residents, while also trying to drive Atlantic City Electric to an alternative, something that people might be more palatable to the public generally. So I don't know if that answered all your questions. I'm sure if there's more, just feel free to ask them, and I'll try to address them as we go.
So
Thank
I have a question. If if God forbid, the worst case scenario happens and their insurance kicks in as the property owners, are they going to pay our legal fees when we get sued? Because everybody gets sued in those situations.
Well, they would get sued. We would file counterclaims for them. We don't have an indemnification from them, but ultimately, from my perspective, as long as the borough checked all of its boxes, i.e., it issued permits after proper inspections, things like that, right on the ground level, then
Right.
this is a private facility. So the claims against the borough are non-existent. That's something that we would, in my opinion, we'd be able to get out of these cases pretty summarily, because the claim is going to be, well, something went wrong at this facility. Okay, well, who owns the facility? Beach Haven? No. Does Beach Haven run the facility? No, they do not. Does Beach Haven, manage it the day-to-day? They do not. So ultimately, it's not Beach Haven's responsibility from a legal perspective to ensure that things are running properly. Now, again, that goes back to my point where the council is aware. You're not sitting back idly and just letting this happen. You're trying to understand and drive this in a way that's the safest way possible. So it's not just that it's not the borough's responsibility. The borough's doing everything.
Right. Of course not. Yeah.
But from a legal standpoint, this is a private facility. So if something goes wrong at a private facility, that it's their obligation to deal with the repercussions of that.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Em. Does anybody else have a question that they would like to ask?
Mary Ellen Kazar.
She's muting.
9 Pearl Street, unit number 7 in Beach Haven. I meant to raise my hand during talking about the reentry, but I didn't know how to raise my hand, so I had to figure that out. So being a condo owner, I was shocked that we wouldn't consider homeowners in order to be able to come back on the island. I looked at the borough's website and on the reentry procedures, and nowhere does it identify condos as not being eligible. It says every effort will be made to allow evacuees to return to their homes and their business. Well, condo owners have homes. And then on page 8 of 10, it talks about property owners will only be allowed into the area for which their placard is issued. Property owners must assess damage and secure their property only. They may not be allowed to assess damage and secure property of others. So I saw a letter of someone who tried to get a placard that had a page about condos that only one person, either the president or a property manager. From what's written here, they should not be allowed to get into anybody's unit except their own. So I'm happy to see that maybe this is going to be addressed again in November. Is that meeting that you all are talking about, the planning meeting, is that going to be something that anyone can attend?
Right now, I believe the meeting that Bill Tron was referring to was
Yes.
Among emergency management coordinators only. And then I assume that he would come back to the council, not necessarily in a public meeting, but certainly that would something we could discuss later once we find out what direction they wish to take.
Okay. I just need for you to know that there is I'm one of 8 and everybody is furious.
Okay,
I live
thank
here
you.
full time. You're telling me I can't, this is the only place I live. Everything I own is here. It's, it needs to be rethought. Possibly instead of having everybody allowed on the island in one day, like what happened after Sandy, maybe you separate it by the north can come one day and the next day the south can come, or I don't
The
know.
placards are color coded for that purpose.
Right, but what I read is that you're trying to not have everybody at one time allowed in, and I get that. But I don't think 800 condos are going to make that much of a difference about overtaking the island and not having everybody have enough time to get in and get out to look at their damage.
Okay.
Thank you for your comment.
We understand what you're saying. Thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay, if there are no further comments, we will close the meeting to public comment and go to final remarks by council. Oh,
You want to entertain?
yeah, go ahead.
Stacy O'Connor?
Hi, yes. I'm Stacy O'Connor. I live at 100 Ocean Street. I have a question. I'm not sure at what point you're in at the meeting. I joined late. I have a question about the permitting process for the surf lessons given by Surf and Paddle on Ocean Street. I understand that from the city that for the past 3 years, the permit has been issued for the lessons to be given on Ocean Street. And I wanted to understand how I could participate in that permit process and give you some feedback from our street, and respectfully request that perhaps this permit should be cycled on a few different streets over a few different years, because it does cause quite a bit of traffic and blocking of driveways and just, extra use that is not just normal residential use, it is commercial use. So if somebody could speak to that so that I can know when to come to meetings and who to talk to, I would appreciate some feedback on that.
At the last meeting, we had the proprietor, Matt Pakelja, come to the meeting, and he notified us that he is more than willing to work with you or any resident that has concerns. He directs the participants not to park on the beach block. So that should help. He directs the participants to go to the north side of the walkway. So he is trying to implement some changes. So I think if you could stop by and see Matt at Surf and Paddle and raise your concerns, he would be more than willing to work with you.
Okay, so I guess my question then is why Ocean Street has been identified as the residential street for which this is the appropriate, surf lesson spot.
I think Mary Claire might be able to answer that. And I do know that that's my street too, Stacy. I live on Berkeley, and I was up there on, was it Saturday or Sunday? I think Sunday, right? And I mean, it's a surfing beach, so maybe that's why. I don't know. Berkeley's a surfing beach. I don't know.
No, there are certain.
I don't know. And I
surfing
think
beaches.
it's, how often is it? Mary Claire, do you know?
It's every day, isn't it?
Every day.
And it's every day? It's every day.
There
I did
can
not know
be-
that.
There can be upwards of 15 to 20 surfing students out there on any, given day. And
Wow.
I will tell you that the Surf and Paddle truck is up and down our street many times. Often the driver of the truck is unloading the surfboard, so there's an unattended truck sort of, parked at the beach access entrance. So I can direct some comments to the propriety, the owner of the business, but I don't really feel like I feel like there should be some more surveying done and some more like observations done as to actually how much is happening.
Well, I would say to you
Is-
that I personally would like to look into this and just get the facts. I'm happy
Kitty,
to talk to Matt as well myself, just to find out and, yeah, so it's,
I had a very thorough conversation with our beach patrol chief
okay.
about this. And she has been down there several occasions. She has lifeguards stationed down there. There have been no issues at all involving this camp. She finds all of the camp counselors to be wonderful to work with, extremely compliant. We discussed their van idling and unloading and loading and unloading surfboards. That happens on most beach entrances with people bringing up their cars to unload and load their chairs. I would encourage Ms. O'Connor to listen to the meeting on YouTube from the last regular meeting to hear everything that Matt McKelja had to say. You can also reach out to Megan Skelly, our beach patrol chief, to hear her input. But that is the beach that he applied for. Megan Kelly, our beach patrol chief, is a part of the application review, and he was permitted to have his camps at that location.
Okay,
Thank you.
so I understand all of those things. I guess I would say that Ocean Street has now hosted this camp for 3 summers. It is not a commercialized street, and I would strongly urge the council to consider rotating this to different surf beaches because, you know, this creates a lot of traffic. A lot of the instructors drive their own vehicles. So if you have five instructors and 15 surfers, you have potentially 20 extra vehicles parking on Ocean Street. You know, I understand that he is entitled to run this business, and I'm sure it's run very nicely. I can tell you that it creates a lot of congestion on our street, and it feels like it would be fair to rotate it among other residential surfing beaches.
Okay, well, thank you. We will take that under advisement. Each year, every application, I should say, gets reviewed. And, you know, I said, Matt is a very reasonable guy, and we'll see what they come up with. But it is a combination of our chief of our beach patrol, which beach is, you know, the best location as well. It's not just a random choice. You know, I know you may feel it be an unlucky one, but like I said, it will be reviewed, but we understand what you're saying.
I have
so
another
thank you.
question. I mean, this particular business is making a lot of money from this surf camp. If you look on the website, they're charging anywhere from $100 to $150 per student. You know, I'm just wondering what the benefit to the town is on all of that, and if that's being looked at as well. You know,
Well,
I just-
actually, yes, they do pay their fee as they're required to. And just as a point of interest, I went down to talk to him after the meeting, and they are running, he mentioned it here, they are running several very, you know, kind and beneficial benefits for like disabled veterans and people like that. He is giving back to the community. It's not just, I'm charging all this money, it goes right in my pocket. So I can put your mind at ease there. He is giving back to the community.
One more point is that.
Yes, and he's a brick and mortar.
Yeah,
right?
and also let's
Ocean-
remind you, sorry, Ms. O'Connor, you know, with all due respect, this is just a comment period and we don't typically have a back and forth. We have sort of extended that this evening and as out of respect to our
I just
speaker.
have
So
one
just
more brief
ask you to
comment. You know,
wrap
Okay,
Ocean
well, we're way
Street,
over 3 minutes, so please wrap it up.
okay, Ocean Street is designated as as part of the historic district. Yet, you know, the city is choosing to approve a commercialized activity. It just seems like those two things are sort of juxtaposed in some way to,
Well,
you
I
know.
disagree
have
with you. I
pretty-
wholeheartedly disagree with you. And I think you've had more than 3 minutes. And with all due respect, again, I think that surfing is historic in Long Beach Island. It's very historic and no one wants to see surfing. Stop, go away. Also, we have lacrosse camps, we have soccer camps, we have
We
yoga
certainly
on the
do.
beach, and everyone pays a fee and everyone makes a profit, and we are aware of that, so I thank you for your comment, and I personally will talk to Matt and have a conversation to make sure that it is equitable, but let's just see. But as far as the historic district and it not being historic, that's just not true. Thank you.
Okay, so that will end public comment, and we go on to final remarks by council. And we start with you tonight, Mr. McCaffrey.
Basically, the only thing I have to say is they talked about the flooding and everything else. If it floods, don't drive through. If it's flooded on Bay Avenue, go up to Beach Avenue, go up to Atlantic Avenue and drive up there. It's usually drier up there and nobody wants to ruin their car anyway.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Snyder?
I just wanted to have a special thank you to Ava Pobletti, who ran for free a Mommy and Me music class I think it was last Sunday, August 3rd. It was adorable, and quite a few kids came out and their moms, and it was really sweet, and she did a great job, and she didn't charge any money, and she didn't take a fee. And also our newly hired rec director, Jen Silla, for coordinating our first sunset painting class, which was really well attended. She had a great turnout. I wasn't able to go. I don't know, were you able to go? And so I just think it's wonderful to see more events that support the arts. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Anderson?
This is the hardest.
Thanks for everybody who attended on Zoom and in the building to voice their concerns. They don't fall on deaf ears. It's not an easy task that we have, weighing everybody's opinion, but hopefully we can come to some nice resolutions. And that's about it.
That's about it. Mrs. Ballmiller? Thank you.
Thank you for everyone that made comment tonight. I do take note of it, and those are the things that we do work on in the winter time. And Ms. Flynn, I do feel for you. During Sandy, I was a renter, not a homeowner, so I had the same problem. All my whole life was here, and I wasn't able to get on, but I actually was, because I showed my license. But it was so chaotic. I think that they were trying to figure out another plan that was a little bit better the next time around. They're always trying to improve things. But I mean, I have to agree, with a homeowner here, that's, a resident here, we have to I think we need to reconsider that, as well. And that's something that we'll talk about in November with emergency management. So don't feel like you're, we're definitely listening to you. As far as, surfing beaches, and like I said, at every meeting, there's a fine line that we keep between our business community and our residential community. And we try to keep everybody happy and pleasant in the summertime. Sometimes there's more patience that you have to have, especially in August, maybe rotating beaches here or there. That's something that we can take in consideration. Ocean is not the only street that we have surfing beaches, that we have surfing camps on. We have surfing camps on Taylor and other beaches as well. So, it's something that, again, we can take into consideration over the winter time, but South End Surf and Paddle does amazing things for the community, not only during the summertime, but on the off season as well, especially staying open for extended periods of time, hosting events for kids. And everybody complains about the kids, and then we have events for them, and then they complain about that too. So we have to, keep them running in the daytime so they're not causing havoc at nighttime. So again, we're listening to all your comments. Thank you again. We'll work on this during the off season, and we're almost there. There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Thank you. Everybody's pretty much said it all. I do want to thank Mr. Malley, Mr. Little, and Mr. Alfieri for coming tonight and helping to answer questions that we've been trying to answer ourselves for a long time, but we need your professionalism to back us up and to drive the point home. And we do appreciate the comments. As they all said, we will discuss it and work on it further. So with that, Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.